welcome. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, Michelle, did you want to call the roll?
Potato,
Here.
Brown, Cole. Here. Hochstetter. Here. Newman,
Here.
Reed,
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Everybody's here. All right, we have one item on our consent agenda, and it is approval of the minutes from the December 5th, 2022 regular council meeting. Will Deputy Mayor Hochstetter please make a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Yeah, I move we adopt the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Botetto. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes unanimous. All right. So we have no public hearing tonight, and we move on to regular business. Okay, no unfinished business. Public comment. Do we have anybody in the public that would like to speak tonight? If you do, raise your hand or push *9 on your telephone. Anybody want to say something that is not on tonight's agenda? Seeing nobody, we will move to new business. First item on new business is our 2023 Deputy Mayor selection, and I call on Jeff, our Administrative Services Director.
Mayor, would you like a motion?
I would like a motion to elect the Deputy Mayor. Cindy, go ahead.
It's not red.
Push the other one.
I'd like to move that we select a deputy mayor for the year 2023.
Good. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Botetto. There we go. Usually that's us looking for buttons.
There we go. That works. Okay, good evening. According to Sumner Municipal Code 2.4.30 and Council Rule 19, at the first meeting in January, the members of the City Council shall, by majority vote, designate one of their members as the deputy mayor for a term of 1 year. The revised Code of Washington states that the deputy mayor shall hold the office at the pleasure of the council, and in case of the absence of the mayor, perform the duties of the mayor, except that he or she shall not have the power to appoint or remove any officer or to veto any ordinance. Sumner Municipal Code adds that the deputy mayor does not have the power to appoint or remove any employee. As to duties, RCW states the mayor and the mayor pro tem shall have the power to administer oaths and affirmations, take affidavits, and certify them. The mayor or the mayor pro tem, when acting as the mayor, shall sign all conveyances made by the city and all instruments which require the seal of the city. Finally, Council Rule 10 states, in the absence of the mayor, the deputy mayor is the presiding officer at all meetings of the council and is responsible to conduct the meeting per established procedures and directives. Now, as the procedures for the election, nominations and the election of the deputy mayor is a public process taken by voice vote. Nominations may be taken from any member and no second is needed. Once nominations have been received, the mayor shall ask for a motion to close nominations. This motion must be seconded and passed by majority votes. After nominations have been officially closed, the mayor shall ask the clerk to call on members of the council by name and ask for their vote for deputy mayor. In the case of a tie, the mayor is the tie-breaking vote.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any nominations? Mr. Brown? Cindy Hochstetter. Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right. Seeing none. Do we have a motion to nominate Cindy for deputy mayor?
Mayor,
Yes,
it'd actually be a motion to close the nominations.
okay.
Yep.
Do we have a motion to close the nominations? Just say it. All right, close by Mr. Brown. Thank you.
Yes, and I'll second that.
Okay. Michelle, would you call the roll?
Hochstetter?
Who I'm voting for?
Yes.
Hochstetter.
No, sorry to interrupt again. This is actually a vote to close the nominations. It requires a second and a majority vote to close nominations. So this vote is not the voice vote for who you actually would like to serve in the role.
Isn't that what we did? Okay. Do we have a motion to close the nominations?
We did that.
We have, yeah. And do we have a second to close the nominations?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Yep, you've got that. So now you need a majority vote to close. the
No, we're,
so
So yes, Michelle, yes from Hochstetter.
Newman?
yes.
Potato?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Cole?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
unanimous. How can something so simple take so long? Thank you.
Now we get to vote. Yeah, now we get to vote for me.
Okay, all right. All in favor of Councilmember, Deputy Mayor Hochstetter?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm really sorry.
Now what?
Michelle can call the roll. It's a voice vote for this one.
Okay. Michelle, would you call a voice vote for Deputy Mayor?
Newman?
Ms. Hochstetter, yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Potato?
Hochstetter.
Cole?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
Hochstetter?
Yes.
Wow, it's unanimous. All right, now we will move on. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 2842, zero lot line subdivision code. And I will call on Brian Windish.
Mayor Hayden, it's Ann Siegenthaler. I'll be making a brief presentation
Oh,
tonight.
Ann is there. Okay, I'm sorry, Ann, I didn't
That's
see
right.
you up there. First of all, what do I have a motion, Mr. Brown?
I move to adopt ordinance 2842, zero lot line subdivisions.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Now I will call on Ann Siegenthaler, who's on Zoom.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, City Council members. I'm going to share my screen. I just have a few brief slides to share with you. Can you all see that okay?
Yep.
And it has been actually 2 months since we looked at this last, so I wanted to just review what's proposed with you and then open it up for questions. So as you probably recall, this is a strategy that comes directly out of our housing action plan to try to streamline the process for zero lot line subdivisions. We had a planning commission hearing and recommendation in September, and the city council had a study session in November. So we're hoping the council can take action tonight after questions. Again, what are zero lot line subdivisions? A subdivision like this creates small single family dwellings that share a common wall. And the homeowners, what's different about these than condominiums is that the homeowners actually own the dwelling, the ground underneath, and the yard around it. So some of the benefits of zero lot line subdivisions, this type of dwelling provides a really nice, relatively affordable type of single family home that includes yards, which addresses a market need out there, particularly for small families. The homes are sold fee simple, so unlike condos, they are sold much like a single family detached dwelling, and they're much more accessible for first-time homeowners and also for people downsizing. The other advantage of this type of development is they more readily fit on some of our small, narrow parcels, which are considered difficult sites. Quick overview of the changes again. For these types of dwellings, we're talking about allowing them only in medium density residential and high density residential zones. They're a higher density type of single family dwelling, so they're appropriate for these higher density zones, not in the low density residential zone. The lot dimensions that we're proposing going to mirror the townhome regulations that we already have in place. The only change is going to be the rear setback. We're proposing to increase that from 10 to 15 feet so that people have a little more room for a backyard behind the unit. This is a unit here showing there's a little yard here, a side yard. The backyard in this case happens to have a driveway going into an underground garage. Everything else in terms of lot dimensions is the same, just like townhomes. The setback next to adjacent parcels is the same. There's no change in density and there's no change in building height. So that will all, excuse me, all stay the same. We're proposing to allow access to these types of subdivisions via a much narrower type of road profile. They can have a narrow private drive aisle or even a private access shared driveway. And these will meet all of our standards and they will be functional and safe, but they will greatly save on land costs and construction costs to have these narrower access ways. We are requiring 2 parking stalls per residence, just like single family homes are required to provide. And in this case, we are proposing visitor parking, and the proposal is to allow some of that parking to be on the adjacent street. So in this diagram, this would be the drive aisle, and they could put some visitor parking here, or assuming the public street is out here, they could have visitor parking out on the public street as well. These units would be required to have open space. That's part of the benefit of these is that people would actually have, unlike an apartment, they would actually have a little bit of ground around them. The open space would be the same as townhomes, 100 square feet for private open space and 200 square feet of common open space per unit. Now, we are suggesting, again, just in the interest of making this more flexible, we're allowing a waiver of the common open space only, not the private open space, if the development is within walking distance of a public park site. And the other main part of this proposal is that we would like to be able to allow existing dwellings to convert to this type of single family ownership in the future, if the owners so wish to do so. So we're proposing to allow existing duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes to go ahead and convert to fee simple lot ownership. There apparently is interest in that in different communities now. So this proposal will build that into the code. And this is an advantage and an encouragement to owners who want to provide this new type of dwelling. because it allows conversion to these fee simple dwellings without having to go through extensive, expensive upgrades. So again, this would apply to duplexes and multiplexes, even the older ones, and it would apply to condos after built after 2018. And again, these standards that would apply are very similar to all of our townhome standards. And that's it. Just wanted to give you a brief overview of what we discussed, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Ann? Barbara? Patrick?
Yes, just a quick one on the parking. So there's 2 stalls per unit, and street does not count as one of those stalls. It does have to be on the premises.
They could actually provide visitor stalls. Excuse me just a moment. I have to clear off my screen. Visitor stalls can be provided on site, or they may I believe up to 50% may be provided off site. And so off-site would be on the street itself.
Does the visitor stall count as part of the 2 required for the unit?
Oh, I see. No, it does not. They must have 2 per unit for the family that resides there.
Okay.
And then the visitor stalls are extra. It's very similar to what we require for townhomes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Councilmember Stewart?
Thank you. I don't know why this question, and maybe this came up before in the study session or the planning commission. I'm curious about fire protection requirements. Every one of these will have a shared wall, is that correct?
Yes.
And will any have 2? So there's like one in the middle of 3?
Yes, the interior units will have presumably one on each side.
Okay, so my question actually is what kind of standards will we be requiring for not only fire protection as far as sprinklers and things like that, but any construction stuff that will protect adjacent units? Have we?
Sure.
addressed that at all?
Mhm. Sure, I understand the concern. Now, I am not a building official or a fire marshal, so I'm not familiar enough with the specific codes, but I can tell you we have in place the International Building Code and Fire Code, and those contain all the standards for fire protection for dwellings, including at what threshold is sprinklering going to be required, at what point is wood construction no longer allowed, that kind of, at what point is an elevator required, and so on. So these will be reviewed, I would imagine, very much like a townhouse construction. This is the same type of shared walls that we currently see in townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, and so on, where they share walls. So I'm confident there are provisions in the International Fire Code, International Building Code that address this type of shared wall and how thick they need to be and what kind of fire resistive materials they might need to have. So I hope that gives you enough information to feel confident about building and fire codes.
Yeah, it does. And I wasn't real concerned about it. I really like the concept. I'm just concerned about protecting the citizens, of course, and I know that the building codes and the building standards will handle that. Do you happen to have any idea what the insurance industry thinks of these kind of structures?
I do not know. That's an interesting question. I can only speak to what I understand the development community, how they view these types of dwellings. And I understand there's a lot of support for this. There are a lot of communities that are allowing this type of dwelling. So, and I would say also as a comparison, in contrast, we're hearing that developers and builders are not that interested these days in building condominiums. And I think the condominium type of a legal ownership structure presents some challenges in terms of financing, perhaps even insurance, and so on. So the consultant and staff and other communities are seeing this trend and this interest from people that know that this is a very palatable, affordable product to put out there. So I'm assuming the insurance sector probably is supportive of this, or we wouldn't have developers knocking on our doors wanting to build these.
Sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate the answers.
Councilmember Newman.
Thank you. When we have the public space exemption, what are we considering a walkable distance between the units in a park?
Thank you. I'm just looking at the code again. I believe it's a half a mile. I'm sorry, I don't have that at my fingertips. I'm sorry, Ms. Newman, the actual code is within a quarter mile.
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
And we are also exempting smaller zero lot line subdivisions. So if it's a zero lot line subdivision with 12 or fewer units, or if they add additional private open space for each unit, then they can get a waiver from this common open space requirement if they can demonstrate that a nearby park within a quarter mile is walkable. It can't just be a wetland that nobody can get to out there. It needs to be an accessible public park.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Anybody else? All right, thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Is there any member of the public that would like to speak to this? Not seeing any. All right, Michelle, would you call the roll?
Potato, excuse me,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
There we go. Pretty agreeable after Christmas. All right, moving on to reports. Cindy,
Nothing this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Botetto,
I don't have anything either.
Councilmember Brown,
Happy New Year.
Councilmember Stewart,
Nothing tonight other than Happy New Year.
thank you. Councilmember Reed,
Same for me. Happy New Year.
Councilmember Cole,
Just one comment. I've finished a whole year and they say, time flies when you're having fun. So I've had fun my first year. So thank everyone for that.
thank you. All right, Mr. Steffens.
Did you get Newman?
Oh, we forgot Charla. Sorry.
That's all right. Happy 2023.
Your shirt wasn't bright enough.
It's my City of Sumner one.
Mr. Steffens.
Thank you. I will be providing this evening's city administrator reports. For upcoming policy issues, next week's study session, we'll be receiving a presentation from the Pierce County Library System. The City Public Works Department will be providing a sidewalk program review. At the next regular council meeting, which will be Tuesday, the 17th, because of the MLK Day holiday, council will be reviewing 2 potential lease agreements. Commission updates. The Planning Commission is holding a public hearing this Thursday, January 5th at 6 o'clock regarding a zoning amendment that would allow for parking in the medium density residential zone of the East Sumner Urban Village area, provided that it is abutting to a commercial use in the adjacent neighborhood commercial zone. Testimony can be provided in person or virtually. Visit our website for more information. The council will also be voting on their recommendation to council regarding short subdivisions and pipe stem lots, both of which are priorities identified in the Housing Action Plan. For personnel issues, the city is currently recruiting for a code enforcement officer. The position closes on January 17th. Please visit our website to apply. That's all I have.
Thank you. Sweetie. I had a nice break and it's good to be back. We've got a lot going on and I'm all rested up for it. I did have a grandson come home for Christmas from Texas. So that was nice. He left today. And I am ready to go for my second year as mayor of City of Sumner. So thank you and meeting adjourned.
Mayor, can you announce the time, please?
Can I what? And the time is 6:26.